in every fandom that new showrunners, new writers, new creative teams come along and bring a nuance to a franchise that's been around for more than 10 years. And sometimes that fandom likes it, and sometimes that fandom is on the cuff of it, and sometimes they just don't fuck with it. And when that happens, we as a fandom kind of go to war. And that's kind of what I've been seeing with the latest installment to the Devil May Cry franchise. Not a video game, but an animated series. An anime. Now, there has been an anime in the Devil May Cry series before, but this one is under Netflix. What's up, guys? As you guys know, it's your boy, TheMtVernonKid, your alpha. How's everybody doing out there? And today, guys, I am here to assess and give my overview of the latest anime in the Devil May Cry series called Devil May Cry. It's going to be honest, it's going to be legit, and I'm not going to be saying anything that I wouldn't say personally about it. Okay? The series was 8 episodes, and it came out April 3rd. I didn't watch it until 2 days later. I watched it 2 days ago. Binge watched everything. I couldn't watch it on the first day, so I decided to wait and find the time to sit down and watch all of them. Now, first and foremost, let me get this out of the way. I know there have been a couple of you guys that have been asking, Chris, what about Daredevil? What's going on? What I told you guys before, for anybody who I spoke to or who had DM'd me or emailed me, whatever, there's a couple of you. Until the season ends, then I will watch it. So I have been staying off of Daredevil, and even anytime I see posts about Daredevil, I shut it down because I don't want to see anything. But having said that, let's get back to Devil May Cry. So let's get this right out of the way. Did I enjoy the series? Yes, I did. Overall, I did. I did a quick review of it on my Facebook page, as well as anybody who wanted to listen. And I said, overall, it was a great constant to the franchise. There was some liberties taken that they changed to serve their purpose in the storytelling. But overall, it was a fair and decent show. And I gave it an 8 out of 10. There you go. There's my rating right there. But let's get into more details of it. I've been a Devil May Cry fan since the day it came out, which was 99, I believe. Yeah, the day it debuted on the PlayStation 2. When we are introduced to our beloved hero, Dante. Or, no, I can't call him under his other name, Redgrave. But we have been introduced to him, and over the years I have learned so much more about Dante and the Devil May Cry world, even always keeping my mind open to learning new stuff, because even if you are a hardcore fan, sometimes you're going to miss some things, and trust me, I missed some things in the franchise, including the White Rabbit, who plays a big part in this series, because a lot of you guys were telling me, hey Chris, he debuted in the Devil May Cry 3 prequel manga, where he was a demon that looked like a rabbit that asked Dante for help. And I was like, oh, I must have missed that one. Thank you. Always keep your mind open. And that is kind of what you have to do in this series. Is this a direct adaptation of the game? No. And I think that is the problem with some of us in fandoms, that we instantly think, oh, they animated something that I really love from a video game or this, a comic, blah 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 blah, and we don't keep our minds open. Sometimes we literally legit go into a state of, well, it's going to be a direct sequel. No. And if you thought it was, you're fooling yourself. It wasn't going to be a direct adaptation. They were going to take chunks of the franchise and make it into their own. And that's what Mr. I'm forgetting the showrunner's name and the writer. That's what he did. And overall, I thought it was perfect. Now, there was some things in the series that they took a lot of liberties with that flipped it and turned it into something more. For example, the show taking place in New York, my hometown. And I was like, wait, whoa. Devil May Cry has never really taken place in New York City. If you look at the Devil May Cry series, it always felt like, I've always looked at it and said, oh, the series seems to somewhat take place in a fictional city, or a fictional city that is based on a European country or a European city. Sometimes I always look at Devil May Cry and I'm thinking, Dante he's probably in Prague or something like that. That's the way I always looked at it. But the series gave a good focus of Dante. Johnny Yun Bosch, who voices Dante in this, who has been a part of the Devil May Cry franchise for years. He's been the voice that gave Dante's nephew, Nero, his voice. And if you don't know who Johnny Yun Bosch is, he also played Adam in Power Rangers. There you go. Vash the Stampede, Ichigo Kurosaki. I can go down the list of and many characters this man has did. Did he do a good job? I thought he did great. Now, I know there's probably some people that wanted Mr. Langdon to return to voice the character of Dante. Fortunately, the actor who has voiced Dante since Devil May Cry 3, he has retired from voice acting and has focused now on different things like producing and things like that. So Mr. Langdon no longer. At first, I was told that he passed, and then finally, that's why I kept asking a lot of fans, and I was like, did he pass or not? Because I kept not finding good information. And then one of you, shouts out to Blue Guardian, who helped me. He emailed me and said, here, read this, and found out, yes, he's alive and well, thank God, and he just moved on. He retired from voice acting. But a good, suitable replacement, I thought, was great. As you all know, the story is focused around Dante, but a focus on his amulet that he carries. And the villain of it, the White Rabbit, who I just talked about earlier, wants it. And we go down this rabbit hole, quote unquote, of discovery and what will you do in terms of your family legacy and not. They played a big focus on Sparda, Dante's father, and explaining what his meaning, what his purpose, and what the results of him sealing the gateway between the demon world and the human world. You know, the demon knight, what that really meant. They really went into detail, and I thought that was really interesting. I didn't hate that, but I like that they put a more focus on that instead of just saying, oh well, he sided with the humans. There you go. He had kids. There you go. The mom, Eva, Dante and his brother Virgil's mom, died, but it's never really said what happens to Sparda. Sparda, not Sparta, Sparda. And I like that they did that too in the show. But the show kind of takes its own nuance as well, because really in this, they really focus on that the humans kind of know about demons. And they really go into detail of adding the United States government into this, which I was a little kind of iffy on. I was like, But again, what did I just say? Keeping your mind open. Taking everything you know about this franchise, putting that in a bag and saying, okay, there you go. I know I put it aside and come in there with fresh eyes. And that's exactly what I did. The vice president in this is voiced by the late great Kevin Conroy. And it was great to hear his voice in something new again, but sadly, we all know what happened to Mr. Conroy, and it's really sad to see that. But I love that he was able to do this, and he leads this group called Daimo. I'm forgetting the name of the group, and he has this little squad of elite demon hunters, which has Mary Arkham, aka Lady, on the team. And what's really interesting about his team, they look, and their armor and everything about them is inspired by another Capcom franchise, which I have not seen anybody else talk about. And their look, the color scheme, everything. Her team reminded me of Captain Commando, and I'm just like, they look like Captain Commando. They look like they all belong with Captain Commando, and I was like mind blown. There are Easter eggs of Capcom franchises all over this. For example, there are, outside of that, then you have mention of Resident Evil. Dante mentions that he's gone to Raccoon City. The president himself talks about bioweapons. They even you see Mega Man in here. There's a Street Fighter cameo. It's really cool. It was really cool to see that kind of stuff. But overall, it was pretty fun. The fighting, the action was really good, and I really enjoyed that. And for 8 episodes, the pacing was pretty damn good. It when it needed, it got going real quick. And in a sense, the writers looked at, we don't need to focus too much on Dante in terms of his origin or what we do know about him, but we do know that he's a demon hunter, and we know that he's like a mercenary as well. And they play that up in this. Now, does he have his shop? Does he have Devil May Cry? I'm going to answer that, and I'm going to spoil this. No, he does not. And that is something that I put as a side note as well. Mention Devil May Cry, but also mention that it's not there. There are a lot of characters that we don't see. But the White Rabbit has a group of villains from the demon world that he has his minions that are helping him. And all of them are pretty much characters from the video games. For example, there was I saw Echidna. Once I saw her, I was like, oh, that's Echidna. You've seen the two brothers, Agni and Raylamus, the two brothers, the Fire and Wind. You saw Cavarius Angelino, who was in Devil May Cry 5. He was a boss. There were a lot of characters in there that you loved, and I thought it was great. Now, the music. Let's talk about the music. Great choice of musics in this that I really enjoyed. And when you're watching this, I don't want you to negate the music. Because music has always played a big factor in Devil May Cry. So keep that in mind when you watch this, if you haven't. And keep an open mind with the White Rabbit, because you are looking at this and you're like, okay. And there's even a point where he steals the sword of Sparta. And once again, remember how I told you, take everything that you know about this franchise and push it aside. But there was a point in time where I was like, with the sword of Sparta, I'm like, wait a minute. That ain't the sword of Sparta. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm like, wait, that ain't it. And then I had to realize, and then I had to remember, I was like, Chris, remember that it does look differently when it's in its true form. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And then we did get to see it. This is not for kids, okay? Let's put that out there right now. This is an adult cartoon, adult animation for adults, because there's swearing, there's just loads of blood in this. And the only thing they did not have in here was nudity. But outside of that, this is not for kids. Do not show your kids this. Even if your kids are fans of Devil May Cry, do not show them this. This is not for them. And more importantly, the other question a lot of people ask me is this on par with the previous anime? It's somewhat, but it's a different take. And that right there is what I've always feel sometimes for this take. Okay, it has pieces of the game all over this. Like I said, a lot of cameos and a lot of Easter eggs that were great. The fighting was great. Does Dante use his devil trigger in this? Yes, he does. And what's really interesting, they kind of play what I, again, here's another example of me really kind of having to, put aside my knowing of the character, put it in that bag, like I said, and be like, for example, in this series, they make it seem as if Dante is not knowledgeable on his demonic side. He's a Cambrian. He's a half demon. And it seems as if he makes it seem as if he does not know that. He goes on to say, I heal fast. It's like some superhero stuff. Like he goes into detail about that. He doesn't even know about he kind of claims like they kind of go into saying that he doesn't know about his father and everything like that, which is kind of weird because, again, what did I just say? If you know the series, Dante has been in control of his demonic power since he was 8 years old. That day, going back to that first game, what happened? Trish comes, throws his sword at him, stabs him, and she throws her motorcycle on, and he just pop, shoots it, takes the sword out, and just is like, I've been in control of my demonic power since I was 8. So he knew about his father. So it's always that's where you gotta okay. But what they were trying to tell and do in this, it worked for what they were trying to do. Like in some sense, feeling denial. He felt he needed to deny that in some way because of why? Because demons killed his mother and killed his brother. So that I love the aspect of him keeping the promise of keeping the amulet safe. Now, that was also another good thing. Now, in terms of Lady Mary Arkham, they really took a lot of liberties with her, and there are gonna be people that are not gonna like her, not like her attitude, but people need to remember that even in the first game, she was a bitch at times. This is the same woman that shot Dante in the head, and then he pulled the bullet out and was like, women. So, but over time, what happened in her first appearance? Her character started to develop more, and she started to understand that she mellowed out, and she understood that there are good demons and there are bad demons. Here, they really go to the indoctrination of she is blind with rage, blind with prejudice, blind with everything in terms of demons. To them, fuck them. That's how she looks at it. She don't give a crap about it. And that right there is where I think a lot of people, and I've read a lot of people's comments and a lot of people's assessment on Mary, is like they really kind of went there and wanted to make her such a bitch. And that's exactly what they did. Now, they also took a lot of liberties with Lady in kind of making her seem like she's some kind of super soldier herself, because, and I don't mind it too much, but then I also kind of wish the showrunners and writers took a step back and said, okay, she's still just human. Dante is half demon and way stronger than her, way faster. That's why, in a sense, I guess they put in these scapegoats of they had special bullets and they had armor that kind of protect them. I get it, but at the same time, they're still facing threats that are beyond human, and that was something I did not like. I was like, okay, you're making her too overpowered, and for what reason, I don't know. What's the narrative? And that's what I kept going on with Mary. I'm like, what's the narrative with her? Why are they doing that? They changed her father's origin, which is weird because he plays a big role in that, and it was not really showcased a lot. They just focused on her being somewhat like the Punisher. That is the best way to describe Mary in this. That she was like the Punisher, blind with rage, blind with not seeing, keeping her eye open and understanding that Dante is not here to. He's a good guy in a sense. He's not a bad guy, but since you're making him more than what it seems, and you're blindly following orders like a good little soldier without thinking. Like maybe, and by the time we may get some little bit of a understanding of, okay, maybe we're starting to see some cracks. That goes right out the window, especially by the end of the series, and you're left with, huh? Like almost in a sense, and I'm like. And when that came, I'm like, what the? Really? Showrunners? Really? Writers? Like, she didn't change a bit. Do we get to see White Rabbit's origin? We get a origin. And it's very interesting. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but episode 7, that's where you look for it. We see the origin of the White Rabbit and Mary. And then we get to see that his motivation there really is no real ties that much to Dante. It's actually more towards Lady, and I'm just like, I get it, I see it, but again, I'm keeping the fresh eyes, I'm keeping my mind open. And that was something I was always torn with the depiction of Lady. There were parts where I can justify her attitude, but then there were parts I'm like, I can't really justify that. Like that doesn't make any sense. And I think the showrunners and writers need to work on that. Or in my opinion, they did that shit on purpose. They did that on purpose they knew that people were going to hate her. Because, the one thing I hear a lot of people saying, that she curses every 5 minutes. Even in the game, she didn't do that. So I'm wondering why they did that. And unless this is a big swerve, they want us to hate her in this season, but realize that she was stupidly blind and stupidly a lapdog. And by the second season or so, if they do get one, she makes that turn for the better. That's the best way I can hope and think of, because as of now, she is not likable. She is not likable at all. And that's not good. Especially if your supporting character, most supporting characters are supposed to be a great feed off of the main star. So that's reason why I can't fully give a thumbs up to this depiction of Mary, because it's really hard to really like her. I'm like, okay, you're cool in terms of, fighting the demons, and there were, and like I said before, I don't mind a strong female character, but they went overboard with her, and I'm talking like she was fighting, she fought Echidna, and I'm like, there's no fucking way she should be doing that, and again, that geek, that knowledgeable Devil May Cry geek starts creeping in, and you're like, you gotta go, but I'm also like, and then you start saying to yourself, she shouldn't be able to do that. Do we see her with her traditional weapon? At one point we do, I will say that. But overall, this was great. It was fun. And even at the end we saw characters from Devil May Cry 2, an organization that shares with Devil May Cry and Resident Evil. I'm not going to spoil it, but I will say that organization, or that word, starts with a U and ends with a Horus. There you go. I'll put that in there. So yes, there's interesting on that. And you really hate to see what happens to Dante at the end. You're like, this better be good. They better get a second season, because now if it doesn't, that will piss me off. Do we see Virgil truly in this? Because the scene that they show before, I mean, you already saw that. That wasn't Virgil. But do we see Virgil in this? I'm not going to ruin that for you. But just keep your eyes open, because you may seen him and you may have missed him. And that. Now, having said that, hopefully season 2 we get more characters, traditional characters that we know. For example, Trish. We didn't see Trish in this. She wasn't in this. Dante never carried his famous guns, ebony and ivory. He just had regular, I think they were Glocks or Berettas. But they also gave a little hint that Dante, he's so strong, and even when he shoots, he grips the gun so tight, like he puts his whole strength in it. And that's always been a key in terms of why the gunsmith Nell Goldstein started making his guns, because he kept breaking his old, so she had to make him new guns that would not break. So, and we haven't seen Nell in this or anything like that, so she's not here. So hopefully if season 2 come, we gotta get those characters, whether they switch the characters up or not. But those are some characters that need to be. I love the twist of some music from different various games, was great. The Evanescence song is in the series, which was great. It's a great song. Afterlife, great. It was great to hear Amy Lee again. She was great. But overall, it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. And to everybody out there, just keep an open mind about it. Keep with fresh eyes. Take everything you know about this franchise in a bag. Put it to the side. Because if you come into this series thinking that it's going to be a direct adaptation, you know everything that's supposed to happen, you're going to be disappointed. It's not that type of series. It's not a direct adaptation. It is a series that takes pieces of the franchise and adapts it into its own story, its own corner. Think of it as a different universe of Devil May Cry. That's the best way I can describe it. But outside of that, guys, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy the series, please leave your comment section down below. I would love to hear it, guys. Let's get into a conversation. I love to hear what you guys think. And as always, this is M.V.K, and I will see you guys next time. Don't forget, guys, I put up videos every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That is my schedule for vids that go up on my channel. If you like to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram. I have a Facebook page. My real Facebook profile is only for close friends right now, more importantly. And I also have a Patreon where we have reviews, we have watch-alongs for Creature Commandos. A couple of animes are going up there, some stuff that you may like as well. And I will see you guys next time. Deuces.